Ever notice how sometimes you stumble upon something that sounds like super niche, but then when you actually start digging in, you realize it's like woven into so many things we encounter every single day.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Right. So that's kind of where we're going today.
Yeah.
You shared a really comprehensive market report on diisodecyl phthalate, or DIDP.
DIDP, right.
And our mission for this deep dive is to like really pull out those essential insights, like where this market stands right now
Mm.
and the direction it's heading globally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So,
It's fascinating, actually,
God,
when you think about it.
totally.
You know, this report is like our roadmap, right?
Yeah.
It lays out not just the current market size for DIDP, but it projects its growth all the way to 2033.
Okay, so we're looking way ahead.
Way ahead, yeah.
Right.
And what's really useful for you and for our listeners is how it breaks down this information by the different grades of DIDP, you know, where it's being used and the different landscapes across regions. Oh, okay. So like different parts of the world are using it differently, or
Exactly, yeah. Different applications, different growth rates, different focuses. We'll also, of course, we'll be looking at the forces that are driving this market, you
Yeah.
know, and any potential headwinds, things that might slow it down.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So why should this matter to like the average person? Like why DIDP?
Well, think about it this way. DIDP, right?
Yeah.
It might sound very specific,
It does.
but it's a key ingredient in making PVC flexible.
Oh,
And
yeah.
flexible PVC, that's everywhere.
Right. Yeah.
It's in construction, it's in automotive, it's in electronics,
Wow.
you know, even medical devices, they rely on it.
Okay, so like I'm thinking like pipes, like the coating on wires.
Exactly, exactly. So understanding the trends in DIDP,
Yeah.
it's like getting this sneak peek into the future of a whole bunch of major industries.
Well, that's a really good way to put it. Okay, well let's jump in.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's start with the big picture.
Okay.
Global market size.
Oh, yeah.
And anticipated growth.
So the scale here is pretty significant. The report puts the global DIDP market at USD 524.5 million in 2025.
Okay, so already we're talking billions of dollars.
Oh, yeah. Definitely a multi-billion-dollar market. And looking ahead, you know, to 2033,
Yeah.
the projection is a climb up to USD 4,700.79 million.
Okay, so even bigger.
Even bigger, yeah.
Wow.
That's a compound annual growth rate, a CAGR, of 4.20% between 2025 and 2033.
That's pretty healthy growth.
It's pretty solid, yeah.
So what's really driving that growth? Like what's the engine behind it?
Well, the report points to, you know, the rising demand for flexible PVC
Right.
as the primary driver, especially within construction and automotive. So it seems like the flexibility and the durability that DIDP gives to PVC is becoming even more crucial in these industries.
Oh,
If you think about how much PVC is used, you know, for pipes, window frames, the interiors of vehicles,
Yeah.
it gives you a sense of the scale of the impact.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. So let's kind of zoom in a little bit. Look at the map, like geographically. How does the market sort of break down across the world?
Sure. So,
And where are we seeing the most like dynamic growth?
well, right now, North America is holding the largest slice of the global market.
Okay.
It accounts for over 40%.
Wow. So they're the leader right now.
They are, yeah.
Okay.
Their market size in 2025 is estimated to be USD 1,409.880 million,
Okay.
with a projected CAGR of 2.4% between 2025 and 2033.
Okay. So it's still growing, but maybe not as fast as some other places.
Exactly. It suggests that other regions are catching up.
Right. They're the leader, but maybe not leading the charge in terms of growth.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
What about within North America? Like what's happening there?
So within North America, the U.S. is the real powerhouse.
Right.
They have a market size of USD 1,112.33 million in 2025.
All right.
And a slightly lower CAGR of 2.2%.
Okay.
The report links this to the demand for lightweight components in the automotive industry.
Okay, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
What about Canada and Mexico?
Yeah, so Canada is actually showing a bit more zip, you could say.
Okay.
They have a growth rate of 3.2%
Okay.
and a market size of USD 169.18 million.
And that's because of?
Well, their focus seems to be shifting towards sustainable plasticizer options.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And then Mexico's market is also growing steadily at 2.9% with a 2025 size of USD 128.29 million.
Okay, so it's fascinating to see those like different growth trajectories even within one continent.
Right.
It kind of hints at like different priorities.
Yeah, definitely. Different industrial focuses
Yeah.
and maybe even evolving ideas about sustainability.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, so North America, big player. What about Europe?
Europe. So Europe has over 30% of the global market share,
Okay.
with an estimated size of USD 157.35 million in 2025.
So another huge market.
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Their projected CAGR is 2.7% from 2025 to 2033. And within Europe,
Yeah.
Germany really stands out. They have a significant market of USD 209.36 million.
Wow. So Germany is like the leader in Europe.
They seem to be, yeah, and a 2.9% growth rate.
Okay.
The report kind of suggests that this could be because of their policies that support non-toxic plasticizers.
Oh, interesting.
So again, that theme of sustainability is coming up.
Right. Not toxic alternatives. I feel like that's something we should definitely keep in mind as we go through all this.
Absolutely, yeah.
What about other big players in the European market?
So the UK market is also showing some really healthy growth at 3.5% with a size of USD 177.63 million in 2025. And their growth in the electronics sector is something to note.
So they're using more DIDP for electronics.
It seems so, yeah. Okay. And then, Russia, France, Italy, and Spain they're all significant markets.
Okay.
But their growth rates are a little bit more modest, ranging from 1.7% to 2.1%.
So they're growing, but not as fast.
Not as fast, right?
Okay, so North America, Europe,
Yeah.
the heavyweights.
Yeah.
But where's the real excitement? Like where's the big growth going to be?
So the real energy, the real potential, that belongs to the Asia Pacific region.
Okay, Asia Pacific.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
So they currently hold about 23% of the global market share,
Oh.
which is estimated at USD 810.64 million in 2025.
Okay.
But their projected CAGR is huge. It's 6.2% from 2025 to 2033.
Wow, that's a big jump.
It is, yeah.
Okay, so that definitely indicates a shift in global demand.
Yeah, for sure.
What's driving that huge expansion in Asia Pacific?
So China is the largest single market in that region with USD 340.47 million in 2025 and a 5.7% CAGR.
So China's still a big part of it.
Absolutely, and part of that is driven by their advancements in plasticizer technology.
Oh, okay.
But India is actually the real standout in terms of growth.
Really? India?
Yeah. They have an impressive 8.0% CAGR.
Wow, that's huge.
And a 2025 market size of USD 97.28 million.
So what's happening in India that's making that happen?
It seems to be a combination of rapid urbanization and a growing demand for building materials.
Oh, that makes sense. So they're building a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
And then you also have Japan and South Korea
Yeah.
also showing some robust growth at 4.7% and 5.3% respectively.
Okay, so it's really interesting to see how that region is really taking off.
Yeah, definitely the region to watch.
What about Latin America and the Middle East and Africa?
Okay, so Latin America, they hold over 5% of the global share,
Oh.
estimated at USD 176.23 million in 2025,
Okay.
with a CAGR of 3.6%.
And is there a standout country in Latin America?
Yeah, Brazil is the biggest market there with increasing use of DIDP in things like flooring and wall coverings.
Oh, okay.
And then Argentina is also showing a pretty notable growth rate of 4.5%,
Okay.
driven by their packaging industry.
Oh, so they're using it more for packaging.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the Middle East and Africa, together, they account for a smaller share, around 2%, estimated at USD 70.49 million in 2025,
Okay.
with a CAGR of 3.9%.
And is there a standout country or region there?
Yeah, so within that, the GCC countries represent a significant portion.
Okay.
And their growth is fueled by ongoing infrastructure development.
So they're building a lot of new things like roads and buildings and
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And then South Africa is seeing increased adoption of DIDP in the medical device sector.
Oh, interesting. So we have a truly global market.
Yeah.
Very, very different regional dynamics.
For sure.
North America is the biggest right now, But Asia Pacific is definitely the one to watch.
Yeah, I think that's clear from the numbers.
Okay, so now let's dive into the different types of DIDP or grades, as the report calls them.
Okay.
We have general DIDP and electronic DIDP.
Right.
What's the fundamental difference between those two?
So think of it this way. You have the workhorse and then you have the specialist.
Okay, like that.
General DIDP is the dominant type. It's the workhorse.
Okay.
It's widely used as a general purpose plasticizer
Yeah.
to make PVC flexible in a ton of different everyday products, things like wires and cables, garden hoses, flooring,
Okay.
all sorts of things. And its key strengths are its durability and its resistance to weathering,
Yeah.
which makes it ideal for these long-lasting applications in construction and automotive.
So that's why we see it so much in those areas.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
And the growth of this segment, the general DIDP, is really
Yeah.
closely tied to overall economic development and urbanization, particularly in those fast-growing economies that we were just talking about.
Right, the ones in Asia Pacific.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so that covers the broad applications, the workhorse.
Yeah.
And then we have electronic DIDP, which you said was the fastest growing.
Right.
What makes it so special?
So electronic DIDP is more specialized. It's tailored for the electronics industry.
Okay.
It's used in insulating materials and various components where high electrical resistance and thermal stability are really, really important.
So things that get hot, basically.
Yeah, things that need to withstand heat and conduct electricity in a very controlled way.
Okay, that makes sense.
And the demand for this grade, it's really being driven by this huge adoption of advanced electronics and the growth in renewable energy technologies like solar panels and wind turbines.
Oh yeah, of course. Those have very specific needs.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Okay, so general DIDP for widespread flexibility, electronic DIDP for high performance in those really demanding tech applications.
Exactly. That's a great way to summarize it.
Okay, so now let's look at where all this DIDP is actually being used, like the key applications.
Yeah.
The report highlights a couple of major areas.
It does, yeah.
Yeah.
So the leading application segment, according to the report, is the production of wire and cable products.
Okay, so like the stuff that's inside the walls of our houses, or
Exactly, yeah. All the wiring.
Okay.
And that's largely because of DIDPs, its properties, right?
Yeah.
It has low volatility, meaning it doesn't evaporate easily.
Okay.
And it has excellent electrical insulation capabilities, which is crucial for safety and performance.
Right.
The growth in this area is driven by the constant need for durable and flame-resistant cabling and construction in telecommunications and the energy sector, including, the expansion of renewable energy and smart grid systems.
So it's kind of like it's everywhere.
It is, yeah.
All this stuff we rely on, yeah.
Pretty much.
Okay, and what about the fastest growing application? What area is really taking off?
So that would be automotive interior parts.
Oh, okay.
Things like dashboards, door panels, seating, all that.
Okay, so the stuff we touch and feel when we're in the car.
Exactly, yeah. And DIDP's flexibility, its ability to withstand different temperatures and its durability, it makes it a preferred material for the automotive industry.
Right, because cars have to go through a lot, right?
They do, yeah. Different weather conditions, wear and tear,
Yeah.
and the increasing production of vehicles,
Yeah.
including the rise of electric vehicles.
Oh, that's true.
Along with just a general demand for more comfortable and long-lasting interiors. That's what's driving this growth.
Oh.
The report even talks about how DIDP can actually contribute to sustainability in vehicles by reducing material wear and extending the lifespan of interior components.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. It's kind of like a hidden sustainability benefit.
Yeah, kind of unexpected, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't necessarily think about it that way.
And the report also mentions some other applications for DIDP.
It does, yeah.
What are some of those?
So while wire and cable and automotive interiors are the dominant ones and the fastest growing,
Right.
DIDP also finds its way into things like paints and pigments.
Oh.
It gives them flexibility and durability.
Makes sense.
It's used in synthetic leather and clothing, contributing to their pliability.
like that.
And it's still an important component in a bunch of building materials beyond, just pipes and window frames.
Oh, okay. So it really is. It's kind of everywhere.
It really has a wide reach. Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about market size, the different regions, the types of DIDP, the grades,
Yeah.
and the main applications.
Mhm.
Let's kind of move to the why now. Like, what are the main market drivers that are fueling all this growth?
Okay, so we've touched on several already, but just to bring it all together,
Yeah.
the report emphasizes that the overall increasing demand for flexible PVC products across pretty much every industry is a major driver.
Okay.
The growing need for plasticizers in the automotive sector, particularly for those interior components, is another significant factor.
And the medical devices, right? You mentioned that.
Absolutely. The expanding use of DIDP in medical devices and equipment is also contributing.
Okay. And those all feel like pretty fundamental economic and societal trends.
Yeah, they're not going away anytime soon.
So on the flip side, what are the things that might restrain the growth? What are the headwinds that the market might face?
So the report identifies two key areas of restraint. The first one is public awareness and concern about the potential health risks.
Okay, so people are worried about DIDP.
Well, about phthalates in general.
Oh, phthalates, right, okay.
And while DIDP is a higher molecular weight phthalate,
Right.
and it has a more favorable safety profile compared to some other phthalates,
Right.
the broader public perception can still, influence its use and adoption.
Right, so even if it's safer than some of the others,
Yeah.
people might still be wary.
Exactly. And then the second area is the environmental impact
Right, yeah.
of DIDP production and its disposal.
That's a big concern these days.
Yeah, for sure. It's a growing concern for regulatory bodies and for every consumers.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So those are two things that the industry needs to be aware of and to address.
Yeah, I think that's true for a lot of industries these days, right?
Absolutely. Sustainability is key.
Yeah. Okay, so that leads us to market trends. Like where's the DIDP market heading?
So one significant trend is the expanding use of DIDP in medical devices and packaging materials.
Okay, so even more specialized applications.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that suggests that its properties are really valuable in those areas.
Yeah, it must be.
And then the other key trend is the pressure from environmental regulations.
Yeah.
Which is pushing the industry to find more eco-friendly alternatives.
Oh, okay, so like a replacement for DIDP?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it could be improvements to the existing production process, or it could be, completely new types of plasticizers.
Interesting.
So it's really pushing innovation in that area.
So we have this balance between the benefits of DIDP
Yeah,
and the need to find something new, something more sustainable.
exactly.
Okay. So now, who are the major players in this market? You mentioned some companies earlier.
Yeah, so the DIDP market is made up of a mix of global companies and smaller regional players.
Okay.
And they're all focused on producing high quality plasticizers.
Makes sense.
And some of the leading global companies mentioned in the report are some really big names, ExxonMobil, BASF, Evonik Industries, LG Chem, Mitsubishi Chemical Holdings Corporation.
So those are giants.
They are, yeah.
Yeah.
And these companies, they typically hold a large market share.
Right, because they're so big.
Exactly. They have huge product portfolios, they have global distribution networks,
Yeah.
and they invest a lot in research and development.
So they're really driving the market forward.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
Can we kind of try to tie it all together? Like, what are the core takeaways?
Sure. What I find really interesting is how the DIDP market, it really reflects these larger global shifts.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So, the huge growth in Asia Pacific, that's a direct reflection of the industrialization and the infrastructure development that's happening there.
Yeah.
The increasing demand for electronic DIDP that shows how fast technology is advancing and how important renewable energy is becoming.
Right. Yeah.
And then the concerns about health and the environment.
Right.
Those are a reminder that industries have to balance performance with responsibility.
Yeah, I think that's a theme we see across so many industries these days.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, so if you're someone who's following a specific industry,
Yeah.
let's say the automotive industry,
Okay.
the growth in DIDP for interior parts,
Yeah.
that could signal that car production is going to go up, or that there's going to be a shift towards more durable and comfortable interiors.
That's a great point.
And that's something that, material suppliers or even consumers should be aware of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same thing with construction, right?
Yeah.
The demand for general DIDP,
Yeah.
that shows us how much building and infrastructure activity is happening.
Exactly. It's a good indicator of those trends.
And then the whole thing with the environmental regulations.
Right.
That's something that companies in the chemical industry and material science are going to be watching really closely.
For sure. That's where the innovation is going to happen.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So it all ties together in a way.
It does, yeah.
It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, it's a glimpse into how these seemingly small things
Yeah.
can have these big impacts.
Yeah, and how these different forces are kind of pushing and pulling on the market.
Yeah, it's a dynamic system.
Yeah. So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive into DIDP,
Yeah.
what are some of the things that really stand out to you?
Well, I think for me, what's really interesting is how crucial DIDP is to so many different industries.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, you wouldn't necessarily think about it.
But it's everywhere.
It is, yeah.
And the growth, especially in those regions like Asia Pacific,
Yeah.
and in those applications like automotive and electronics,
Mm-hmm.
that really shows that there's still a lot of potential there.
For sure, yeah.
But then we also have those constraints, the health concerns and the environmental concerns.
Right, that's the other side of the coin.
Yeah, so it's not all rosy.
Exactly.
There are challenges that need to be addressed.
Yeah, and that's where, the innovation comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so for our listeners, I hope this has kind of sparked some new
Yeah,
questions
so yeah.
about the materials that we use every day,
Yeah.
and the way things are made.
Yeah, it's easy to take these things for granted, but there's a whole world behind them.
Yeah, and it's constantly changing.
Absolutely.
So, maybe next time you pick up a product,
Yeah.
you'll actually look at the label
Yeah, see what's in it.
and think about where it came from and how it was made.
Yeah, and maybe even the environmental impact of that product.
Right, exactly. This is just the beginning
Yeah.
of understanding all this.
It's a fascinating world out there.
Yeah, it really is. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.